special bun supper, and already what fun we're having. Good evening, everyone, or at least if you're in Russia, it's good evening. So a big welcome to our Russian, American, Scottish bun supper, which I'm sure is another one of the forum's many firsts. Before I begin, just a couple of thank yous. I have to say a special thank you for the real driving force behind this evening, and that is Gordon Johnston. Gordon is my fellow Howth and forum colleague, and between Gordon and Neil for his technical skills and Douglas's technical backup, we really have them to thank for all of this. The collaboration we've had from the Bukharev, the collaboration we've had with the Burns Club of St. Petersburg has been, as always, quite marvellous. So this is really their evening, the drivers behind all of these places. I think we can see ever so clearly how distance has been diminished by technology, never more obviously than this evening. I think it's quite astonishing. For example, as we've already remarked, in Russia, it's time for dinner. In Britain, we, of course, are having afternoon tea. But in Georgia, poor Ian and his friends, they've just finished their blooming breakfast. So it is an astonishing situation. And of course, up in Skye, well, they don't have food up there, so it doesn't affect them anyway. Let us get now immediately to our programme. This is where the clever stuff starts, because of course, many of these pieces have been pre-recorded because the quality of non-recorded stuff is not good. So there's technically quite a lot lies behind this. First of all, we have, of course, the address to the haggis, the principal guest at any Burns supper. And to do that, we have Neil Johnston. Neil, most of you know, he's a committed Burnsian. He's a past president of the fabled Howth Burns Club, of which I am, of course, a member. He's a computer expert, thank God. He's also a racing cyclist, a generous and thoroughly good all-round person. Unfortunately, he kills haggis as a hobby. Neil, would you care to dispatch the haggis for us?
Fair for your honest sonsy face, great chieftain of the Budden race, abune them all ye take your place, Painch, Tripe, or Therum, we'll lay you worthy of a grace, as lang as my airem. The groaning trencher there you fill, your herd is like a distant hill, your pin would help to mend a mill in time of need, whilst through your pores the dews distill, like amber bead. His knife, see rustic labour dicht, and cut ye up with ready slicht. Trenching your gushing entrails bricht, like ony ditch, and then, oh, what a glorious sicht, warm, reeking, rich. Then horn for horn they stretch and strive, deal take the hindmost on they drive, till all their wheel swelt kites be live, are bent like drums, and all guid man maist like to rive. Bethank ye, hums. Is there that our is French ragout, or olio that would stow a sou, or fricassee that would mak her spew with perfect scunner, look down with sneer and scorn for view on sic a dinner? Poor devil, see him o'er his trash, as feckless as a withered rash, his spinel shank a geep wet lash, his knave a knit, through bloody flood or field to dash. Oh, how unfit! But mark the rustic haggis fed, the trembling earth resounds his tread, and clap it in his wally knave a blade, and he'll mak it whistle, and legs and arms and heads'll sned, like tops o' thistle. Ye powers who make mankind your care, and dishes out their bill of fare, old Scotland wants nae skinking ware that joups in luggies, but if you wish a grateful prayer, gie her a haggis. Ladies and gentlemen, please Raise your glasses and join me in a toast to the haggis.
Well done, Neil. As always, a most unusual and well-received rendition. Well received. Following on from the haggis, of course, we go straight to the immortal memory. Who better to do it than wonderful Jane Brown? Jane, I suppose, truly is the spirit of Burns, and her connection with his world is a strong one. She's a past president of the World Federation, and I know that she has admirers and friends throughout the world. She has been to Russia, and I rather think she had a good time. They certainly remember her. Whether it was the police who remember her or the security guards in the Hotel Moscow, I'm not sure, but she is remembered. She's a clever lady, a funny lady, a little irreverent, but she's kind and she's charming. And I suppose just to see her is to love her. Jane, would you kindly give us your immortal memory? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Jane Brown here. I'm going to try something. It might not work, but we'll see. And I apologise if it's all wrong. Dobre wieczór. Я привезла вам братский привет из Dumfriesa, чуть сокадится в Скотландия. За безмертную память Roberta Bunza. Spasiba. I do apologise. I was trying to bring you fraternal greetings from Dumfries in Scotland, and I'm about to do the immortal memory for Robert Burns. And firstly, I'd like to thank you for your wonderful hospitality I received when I was in St. Petersburg, and also to dedicate this immortal memory to the most beautiful lady we all knew, Elizabeth Clark. I'm extremely honoured to give this toast, and would take this opportunity of thanking you all for your kindness, friendship and hospitality that your members afford to Burnsians from all over the world, myself included. Friendship makes us aye mair happy. Friendship gives us all delight. Friendship consecrates the nappy, and friendship brings me here tonight. If Robert Burns were here today, what would he think? What would he say? Would he be in awe of the things that he would find? And how would he view the modern mankind? Why is this ploughman poet, this genius, this great physician of the heart relevant today? Why does he sit eternally at the bedside of our mind, although he has been dead for 225 years? Why are we here? The mortal life of the bard was confined by time. His genius was not so. It belongs not only to the past, but to the present and the future as well. It transcends time, ladies and gentlemen, and belongs to eternity. Time, like a never-rolling stream, bears all its songs away. They fly forgotten as a dream, dies at the opening day. A ploughman poet who could pen words in the middle of a comedy stanza like Tam O'Shanter. But pleasures are like poppies spread. You seize the flower, the bloom is shed. Or like the snowfall in the river, a moment white, then melts forever. Or like the borealis race that flit ere you can point their place. Or like the rainbow's lovely form, evanishing amid the storm. In my opinion, he is not only relevant today because of his contribution to our culture, but also because of his belief in the brotherhood of man. Now, in matters material, the world is much advanced from that which the bard inhabited. Burns lived in a rural, rustic, agrarian society, whereas our world today is one of automation, automobiles and nuclear weapons. Ironically, human nature hasn't altered since Burns' day. We are still the same type of people, with the same faults and failings, the same vices and virtues. Because of this, there are still wars, rumours of wars, atrocities and tragedies. The only difference is that man now has the capacity to destroy the whole world. In our time, as in Burns' time, there is still great inequality. One half of the world has reached for the moon, while the other half has to reach out in vain for a crust of bread. He wrote, "A few seem favourites of fate, in pleasure's lap caressed. Yet think no, all the rich and great are likewise truly blessed. But oh, what crowds in every land, all wretched and forlorn, through weary life this lesson learn, that man was made to mourn." Also he wrote, "Man's inhumanity to man makes pointless thousands mourn." In January 2004, Secretary-General Komi Annan delivered a Robert Burns inaugural memorial lecture calling for brotherhood, tolerance and coexistence amongst all people. One can almost still hear the echo of millions of people singing Auld Lang Syne, Burns' great ode to friendship. Although we still have hatred, hypocrisy, bigotry and bloody-mindedness, we must allow hope to be renewed. Let us admire the enduring resonance of the work of Robert Burns, and let us dream as he did of a true brotherhood and sisterhood that embraces and encompasses all humankind and allows all people a chance to enjoy their inalienable rights, dignity and freedom. What a year we've had, 2020, and with everything that's happening in the world today, there's never been a greater time for a belief in the brotherhood of man. It acts as a beacon to lighten our darkness. Another point is Burns' universal appeal. It is not only Scots who celebrate his birthday every January, but people of every class, every creed, people of every hue and colour, people of every political persuasion. Famous people he inspired, for example, Abraham Lincoln, Che Guevara, and Bob Dylan said he was his greatest inspiration. It is because he speaks a language we can all understand. Part of his genius lies in an ability to distill great thoughts into simple stanzas. We don't need to be a genius to get the message. We can identify with Burns the man. He is in fact a paradox. He is a saint because he was a sinner. He is a success because he was a failure. He is internationally famed because he was a patriot. He is immortal because he was so very mortal. Burns had his faults, but who are we to judge? It is difficult to carry a full cup without spilling some. It is extremely difficult for us in the 21st century to imagine the conditions imposed on the people in Scotland by the government and the church in the 18th century. Today we take a great deal for granted, but at that time living conditions were very bad indeed, and I believe that most people just accepted their lot. Burns, of course, coming from a decent but very humble origin, felt quite different and could see the injustice that prevailed. It was against this backdrop of his poems he was taking on the establishment and knowing the dangers of this. His mission in life was to prepare the ground on which the rights of ordinary men and women would be built, and he was well aware that it would not be accomplished in his lifetime. He once said to his wife Jean, "I shall be more respected 100 years from now than I am today." Like all men, of course, like here tonight, the poet needs to express himself, and the only vehicle for such imprisoned splendour, as I have been talking about, the only vehicle must be his poems, his songs, which were his creation, his pen a brush, each poem, each song a beautiful picture painted in the lovely colours. His writings were wide and varied, cruel and sentimental, satirical and funny, loving and caring, but each and every one has its own message. Ladies and gentlemen, I would say once in every 1,000 years or so, there flickers into flame a light that does not dim and die, is not snuffed out, but burns brightly, ever more brightly until it fills the whole world with its incandescent light. And such a talent, I submit, in all humanity was and is the genius of Scotland's national bard. I would ask you to raise your glasses and say with me, to the immortal memory of Robert Burns. Good night and spasiba.
Thank you, Jane. That was quite exquisite. Exquisite. Thank you. Moving on now, you'll see from your programme, if you've been lucky enough to get one, that we're going to have a song from Rose Byers. Just looking around my screen, I've lost sight of you, Rose. Wave your arm. Oh, right. Rose, well, this super young lady came with us to Russia 2 years ago and made a tremendous impression. Although she's young, she somehow seemed to be pretty grown up, always well-mannered, but full of fun, and pretty, which never does any harm. Talented without doubt. She really was, to me anyway, she seemed a perfect young lady. I didn't have any daughters, but one like Rose would just have been fine. So a super young lady. She loved Russia. Russia loved her. And why not? Notwithstanding the fact that they tried to steal her violin, but Slava managed to fix that for us. So thank you. Rose, without more ado, would you kindly let us hear your pleasure? Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for asking me to perform here tonight. I'm going to sing "There Was a Lad" by Robert Burns, and I'm going to accompany myself on my ukulele, so I hope you enjoy, and if you can, try and sing along at home. I know you're all muted, but I bet you all have lovely voices. So here's "There Was a Lad." There was a lad was born in Kyle, but whatna dear, whatna style. I doubt it's hardly worth a while to be so nice wi' Robin. Oh, Robin was a roving boy, rantin' roving. Robin was a roving boy, rantin' roving Robin. Our monarch's hen most year, but him was 25 days begun. 'Twas then a blast o' January when Hansel and on the robin. Oh, Robin was a roving boy, ranting, roving, ranting, roving. Robin was a roving boy, oh, ranting, roving Robin. Thank you.
What did I tell you? A star. Now we have the toast to St. Petersburg, the toast to the city. This will be done by Alexander, Dr. Bukrev, Alexander Bukrev, or to me, Sasha, a long-time supporter of the work of the Forum, a man whom I've come to know very, very well. And if I had to say anything about him, it is his adherence at all times to decorous behaviour and good manners, something which is to be admired, especially nowadays when such a thing is not commonplace anywhere in the world. He's a founder member of the St. Petersburg Burns Club, and he will now propose the toast to the city. He's going to be assisted by the students of Gymnasium 21. School 21 we know very, very well, and Frida I see on my screen just now, so no doubt she will have her mucky fingers in about that, as she always does. We know Frida so well, known her for so many years. So Sasha, Alexander, Dr. Bukrev, would you kindly give your toast, assisted by School 61. Thank you.
Dear Scottish and Russian friends, I will read lines of Pushkin's great poem, The Bronze Horseman. I love you, Peter's great creation. I love your aspect, soft and hard. I followed Neva's great migration that courses through the granite ground. The iron dresser of your railing, pellucid, twilight, moon's sheen. You placed evenings, fruitful trains, and time in my apartment mean. Let's raise our glasses to St. Petersburg.
To St. Petersburg.
Города, который был Петром заложен.
Wonderful, wonderful, superb. Thank you, Frida. As always, you managed to produce just these wonderful young people who never fail to delight us. Thank you. Now we move on to the toast to the lassies. Vyacheslav, my dear friend Slava, and Gordon together will present this. Vyacheslav, reliable, надежный, energetic, smart, influential, true to the forum and to his Burns Club, of which he is a founder member, an expert fisherman, but that's another story, and a very senior educationalist. He loves Scotland, and as I say, he is a staunch supporter. Gordon, on the other hand, is also my dear friend. He's a world-class cyclist. Despite his advancing years, nobody seems able to beat him, which is astonishing. He is, of course, a past president of the Howth Club, the fabled Howth. He's a tireless trustee, and as I said earlier, very much the driving force behind tonight. These two pals, and they are pals, these two pals will now deliver the toast to the lassies. Gentlemen, your toast.
Then come, sweet muse, inspire my lay, for all the lee lang summer's day. I couldn't sing, I couldn't say how much, how dear I love thee. I see thee dancing o'er the green, thy waist sae jimp, thy limbs sae clean, thy tempting lips, thy roguish een. By heaven and earth, I love thee. By night, by day, I feel that hame. The thoughts of thee my breast inflame, and I muse and sing thy name. I only live to love thee.
My love, like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. My love, like a melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry. Till all the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun. I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. And fare thee well, my own love, and fare thee well awhile, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 mile.
All nature fears the lovely deer. Her noblest work she clashed o', her prentice hand she tried on man, and then she made the lasses o'. Gentlemen, I ask you, raise your glasses, the lasses.
The lassies. An excellent toast. Well done. Well done. I would expect no less. We move now on to Svetlana, Dr. Bukrieva, Sveta. Sveta brings charm and thoughtfulness to all that she does. And she will explain her own poem. Sveta.
Our dearest friends, I would like to dedicate a poem about real lady to our dearest Elizabeth. She is with us today and always. And I would like to recite a poem by Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin. This poem was written to his future wife. For him, she was an angel from the heaven. Her purity, beauty, dignity, like mother's guard, was in his eyes an image of similar to Natalie. That's why now and forever, in Russian culture, this poem is a symbol of ideal lady, and Elizabeth for us is a real close friends and ideal lady. I would recite in Russian, but our Scottish friends have the translation. And on the last stanza, I will recite in 2 languages. Немножеством картин старинных мастеров украсить я всегда желал свою обитель, чтоб суеверно им дивился посетитель, внимая важному суждению знатоков. В простом углу моем, среди медленных трудов, одной картины я желал быть вечный зритель, одной, чтоб на меня с холста, как с облаков, пречистый наш божественный Спаситель, а нас величием, он с разумом в очах, взирали кроткие, во славе и лучах, одни, без ангелов, под пальмою Сиона. Исполнились мои желания, Творец, тебя мне не спасла, тебя, моя Мадонна, чистейшей прелести, чистейший образец. My wishes granted. God has shown me thy face. To me, here, my Madonna, thou shalt from most pure example of the purest grace.
Thank you, Sienna. Thank you. We're going to hear now from Margarita Fyodorovna and Diana Mackay. They're going to reply on behalf of the lasses. Charm and artistry are combined. They are a winning combination. And they're guaranteed, the pair of them, to melt the hearts of any men at all. Dear ladies, dear Margarita, dear Diane, will you please give us your reply on behalf of the ladies? Thank you.
A lucky chance to give a toast to men on behalf of all of us women, Russian, Scottish, and other nations, and of other nations who are present here. I would also like to say that our dear Elizabeth is here in our hearts and minds. We spoke a lot with her about her love to family, husband, sons and grandsons, and friends. And may I also speak on her behalf. They say about women that they were created to inspire men. And so many men returned that inspiration to the whole world. So many wonders of the world have been created by you, men, thanks to love, love to women. Music, poetry, paintings, palaces, innovations, and we are thankful to you for that, for all that. We know that you were the first to be created, and we are thankful to nature for that. Our nature swears, the lovely dears, her noblest work she classes. Oh, her apprentice hand she tried on man, and then she made the lasses. Oh, we also know that your hearts are not only in the Highlands, but also with us, women, with such wonderful women as our dear Elizabeth, who softens our hearts and makes us better. Wherever we are, we think of you, our dear men, and we know that wherever you are, you think of us. But boundless oceans roaring wide between my love and me, they never can divide my heart and soul from thee. Our thanks to Robert Burns for these lines. We lasses of St. Petersburg are waiting for you in St. Petersburg, Scottish men and women. Despite of the global problems, we celebrate these days as the days of Scotland, and our hearts are with you both here in St. Petersburg and in the Highlands. Our toast is to you, dear men, to our friendship for old Lang Syne and in future.
Right.
So much for giving me this opportunity to reply. Thank you, Margarita, for your warm words. I have left part of myself in St. Petersburg, your beautiful city. But please may I make this contribution. I understand it was a great favorite. So here we go. John Anderson, my Joe, John, when we were first acquaint, your locks were like the raven, your bonny brows Brent. But now your brow is belled, John, your locks are like the snow, but blessings on your frosty pow. John Anderson, my Joe. John Anderson, my Joe, John. We climb the hill together, and mony a canty day, John, we've had with ane another. Now we maun totter down, John, and hand in hand we'll go, and sleep together at the foot. John Anderson, my Joe. Thank you.
We're going to have some piping now. And we have the great Callum Watson, a king among pipers. I promise you, he's a grand, grand piper. As a member of the Hove Club, I've heard him lots of time, and most of us will have heard him at some time or another. Sadly, he's never managed to make it quite all the way to Russia, but I have high hopes that someday he may do so. There's really nothing more to say. A king among pipers. Callum, your pleasure, please. Wonderful stuff, Callum. Wonderful. We move now to the link which exists between the Hove Club in Dumfries and, of course, the new club in St. Petersburg. What you may not realise is that the club in St. Petersburg, the St. Petersburg Robert Burns Club, is the very first one ever to have been created since the Soviet Union became Russia as we know it today. The club is your own, it is thriving, but I think I could reasonably say that the Hove and some of us who are members of the Hove made quite some effort to facilitate the creation of the club, and well, we're rather proud of that. We see you as a daughter club, I think, with good reason. So I'm proud now to be able to invite the president of the Hove, Rob Walker, to a man of leadership and talented and knowledgeable Burnsian. Been a Burnsian for a long time, maybe he would say too long, and I think we will be looking forward to hearing his greeting from the club. Rab, your greeting, please.
President Svetlana, members of St. Petersburg Robert Burns Club, thank you for your invitation to speak at your virtual event tonight. As president of the Dumfries Burns House Club, it was a great honour for me to sign the certificate in support of your application to join the Robert Burns World Federation. We at the House Club are delighted that your application was successful, that you're now part of the worldwide family, and that there is a special bond between our two clubs. Druzia, na nasze zdrowia, ura. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Svetlana, Sveta.
Our dear Scottish friends, Robert Burns House Club, Mr. President, Rep Walker, and all members. We send you our heartfelt thanks for the friendship, for support, and we send our greetings and best wishes to lovely Scotland. And I would like to recite for you lovely lines from Robert Burns about friendship and about join beautiful company. A townman trouble, should that be my far, a night I got fellowship somewhere as it are, when at the blithe end of our journey at last, while the devil ever thinks of the road has passed. For you, for Haworth Club, for all members, and the president.
Thank you, Sveta. Thank you. Well done. Thank you, President Rob. That was superb. Thank you. It is nice to see that in his words that he chose, he too recognizes the fact that we do have a small but very important interest in your club. So thank you. The next topic, the next performance is really one I can't tell you much about. We have Yulia Filipova and Marina Semenyova, and they are going to do an extract. I'm not even sure which language it's in, but it doesn't matter. They're going to do an extract from one of Burns's truly great poems, a truly great poem, a poem which idealizes family life of the time, when in fact family life in the time, if you were in the country, was not particularly comfortable. But the poem is a beautiful thing, and I'm looking forward very much to hearing what Yulia and Marina are going to say. Ladies, the Cotter's Saturday Night.
Can we demonstrate?
Right.
Right. Paying tribute to the memory of Robert Burns, we can't but cite one of Russian poets of the 20th century, Nikolai Gumilev, who once said that to fully understand a poet, you need to read his works translated into all languages. And today we would like to revive a memory of a Russian poet who was the first to translate some of Robert Burns' poems into Russian. His name was Ivan Kozlov. Ivan Kozlov was born into a very noble family. He got excellent education and was doing public service, but it was misfortune that made him a poet. An unexpected illness deprived him of the ability to move, and what is more, he completely lost his eyesight. It was at this very period that he started translating the best literary works in the European languages and translating the works by foreign poets into Russian. In 1829, after having read Robert Burns' Cotter's Saturday Night, Kozlov produced a rural Saturday night in Scotland, which he called a free imitation of Robert Burns. What makes Ivan Kozlov and Robert Burns united is their great love for their native lands from which they drew inspiration. And today we would like you to enjoy these beautiful pieces of poetry, both in English and in Russian. Can you switch to another side, please, with the English version? The next, please.
The next, please. Next slide. Weak and wild, when hoar crowns and coronets be rent, a virtuous populace may rise the while and stand a wall of fire around their much-loved isle. O thou, who poured the patriotic tide that streamed through Wallace's undaunted heart, who dared to nobly stem tyrannic pride or nobly die the second glorious part. The patriots, God, peculiarly thou art his friend, inspirer, guardian, and reward. Oh, never, never Scotia's realm desert, but still the patriot, and the patriot bard in bright succession raise her ornament and guard.
And now please enjoy Ivan Kozlov's imitation into Russian, and will you please switch to side number 4, the Russian version of it. А я к тебе взываю я, Святая Русь, о наша Мать-Земля. Цвети, цвети, страна моя родная, меж царств земных, как пальма молодая. Цвети во всем, и в доле золотой, счастлива будь, и счастье лей рекой. Страна сердец и дум, и дел высоких. О, как гремят везде в краях далеких твоих дружин и флотов чудеса, и русских дев стыдливая краса. Верна царям и верою хранима, врагу страшна, сама неустрашима. Да будут честь и нравов простота, и совести народной чистота, всегда твоей и славой, и отрадой, и огненной кругом тебя оградой. И пред тобой исчезнет тень веков при звуке струн восторженных певцов.
So, inspired by these beautiful lines, we would like to propose a toast to the well-being and prosperity of our countries and our nations.
Well, ladies, that was a wonderful surprise. Well done indeed. I look forward to meeting you next time we're in Russia. That was well done, well prepared, beautifully done. Thank you. Thank you. The next to perform is Margarita. She'll say a few words and become clear what she's on about. I don't think over the 25 years that we've been working in Russia with you that anyone worked harder and more closely with the forum. And I can tell you, Margarita, that my mother Douglas's mother counted her as a trusted friend in whom she could confide. And I can tell you, Elizabeth was very careful about those with whom she felt she could confide. I think she was careful about such things. She did not give her friendship easily, but it was worth having when you had it. So I can tell you, Margarita, that she thought the world of you, and I look forward to hearing what you're going to say. Thank you.
Dear Tom, dear everybody, Elizabeth was a great friend, personal, and to all of us. She was a person who could read the hearts, who could read the minds, and who could see what people think, what people want to know, and what people could know. She was one of the noblest person I have ever met. From the very beginning of the activities of the forum in St. Petersburg, when in the beginning of 90s, she and the St. Petersburg Forum, Tom, and other members of the Board of Trustees brought innovations to those people who suffered from cancer, to form the Association of Self-Support of People who had cancer, to make them, to revive them, to make them be sure that they could do other things. They could help one another to help to cure this horrible disease. These people became amateur artists. They started to write poetry. They started to write novels and short stories. And we still keep that stories. We still keep that paintings. And then your forum, headed by you, Tom, Elizabeth, started to bring medicines and to bring just things that were necessary for people who suffered from other diseases. And as in the beginning of 90s, there were certain difficulties in supplies, you did that supplies. Because watching and seeing these photographs, I could see really, and I have it in my eyes. I have photographs that you loaded that things, and I have photographs that we unloaded these things, and we started to be friends, because it was very unexpected that Natalia and Irina introduced yourselves to us, and we became friends. And I want to thank Natasha and Irina today and tonight for that, because it was the start of our friendship. And I also want to thank Natalia Yeliseyeva. I want to thank our members of the board who became very much involved in the youth programs of youth in Petersburg Forum. When you attracted people, and you know that it is so difficult sometimes to attract young people and then to form associations of those who, being winners of competitions, those who, being winners of the competitions, could come to your country and to enjoy visiting it, and then to write about their impressions. We keep these impressions of our youngsters, and now they keep phoning us, they keep being our friends, they keep being your friends. And you formed, and Elizabeth formed, so many friendships and helped to bring up the big group of internationalists, and a big group of people who I'm sure are the future of our world and the future leaders of this country and the future leaders of this city. Thank you ever much for being husband, loving husband to a wonderful person. Thank you so much, Douglas, to being a loving son of this absolutely extraordinary personality, because she loved you so dearly. Thank to grandchildren whom she helped to grow up, whom she knew. Sometimes we mix the names of our grandchildren, but she never did. She always thought of them. She knew their ages. She knew their preferences. And she is with us. As I have told you, oceans, they divide us. Seas, they divide us. But our hearts and souls are indivisible, and they are with us. These people, the best people we know, are with us. Thank you ever so much, Tom, for being with Elizabeth, because you brought her love, you brought her your care, and you brought her some things that she learned from you. She became a wonderful driver. She became a wonderful pilot of your yacht. And she became a wonderful sportsman. And she also taught her children to do so. And you were a big family. You still are. And Elizabeth is with you. You have to know that. And you have to feel that. There is nothing that divides you. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Margarita. That was a wonderful contribution. It may not be truly in the style of a typical Burns supper, but I don't think we need to apologize to anyone for that because, well, I think some of you only at the end realized just what an unusual and exceptional lady she was. And yeah, I do feel a bit sorry for her because the poor lady, when I married her, had no idea that she would be dragged around the oceans of the world or made to swim underneath them or climb mountains or race bicycles. She saw none of that. So maybe you're right. Maybe I did have a little hand in shaping her. Yeah. Right. Let us get this thing moving and cheering. Next on my program, I have the delightful Tatiana Yemelyanova, whom I have known for a long time, and you're looking very glamorous tonight, if I may say so. You're a long-time friend of the forum, and I think you'll find that the choice of poem that she has chosen is entirely suitable and reflects her own loving nature. Tatiana.
Oh, yeah. With this poem, I would like to give some merry note to our supper. It's this poem, Coming Through the Rye, is very popular everywhere in all countries. It is translated to many languages and to Russian. And it also gave name to a famous novel by Salinger. He used this notion, rye, yes? And now I've recited. Coming through the rye, poor body, coming through the rye. She draggled her petticoat, coming through the rye. Oh, Jenny's a wet, poor body. Jenny's seldom dry. She draggled her petticoat, coming through the rye. Gin a body, meet a body, coming through the rye. Gin a body, kiss a body, need a body cry. Gin a body, meet a body coming through the glen. Gin a body, kiss a body, need the world can. Thank you.
Well done, Tanya. Well done indeed. Let us move on now to, well, Miss Yermakova, who destroyed my life by becoming Mrs. Tagayeva. Natasha, good evening. A winning student quite some long time ago. She has stayed close to us ever since. And really, we count her just simply as a charming friend and communicate. Her poem is short and sentimental, a masterpiece, loved by many. Dear Natasha, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Tom. So we are going to sing a song together with my older sister, as you know. So I hope you enjoy. Под снегом и дождем, мой милый друг, мой бедный друг, тебя укрыл бы я плащом от зимних вьюг, от зимних вьюг. Но если мука суждена тебе судьбой, готов я скорбь твою давно делить
с тобой, делить с тобой. Пускай зайду я в мрачный дом, где ночь кругом, где тьма кругом. Во тьме я солнце бы нашел, с тобой вдвоем, с тобой вдвоем. И если вдали не удел весь шар земной, весь шар земной, с каким бы счастьем я владел тобой одной, тобой одной.
That was super. Well done, ladies. Well done indeed. Moving now to a Scottish contribution, Peter Pringle. Where are you, Peter? You're on that screen somewhere. Peter has had a long and close association with Russia, a long and close association with the Forum, and, well, he's a stalwart. You can always count on Peter. He's a keen Burnsian and a senior educationalist in our tertiary educational system. He brings knowledge to any enterprise. He brings experience. A top guy.
First of all, can I say Dobrovice, St. Petersburg, Druzhny. This as a token of friendship and acknowledgement to our Russian club members and colleagues here today. I would like to recite a short poem by Alexander Pushkin called I Loved You. This is about letting go of love when it comes to the end of its course, but the love that's in one's soul will never fade, no matter what the future may bring. I Loved You by Alexander Pushkin. I loved you, and it may be from my soul. The former love has never gone away, but let it not recall you to my dole. I wish not to sadden you in any way. I loved you silently, without hope, fully, in diffidence, in jealousy, in pain. I loved you so tenderly and truly as to let you else be loved by any man. Спасибо большое.
Beautiful poem, Peter. Beautiful poem. Я вас любил. Thank you. Okay. You can do the mouse next time, but that was pretty good. Yeah, no, that was more than acceptable. Now, I saw Fyodor a minute ago. Yeah, there he is. Now we're going to have some music by a couple of master craftsmen, by Mike, Misha, and Fyodor. If you can, Fyodor's the one with the wee moustache when you come to see him. Talented, been to Scotland, a sensation when they were over here at the Aberdeen International Youth Festival. They were quite superb. They left a mark here. They're masters of what they do, and you're going to hear the balalaika played as it should be, accompanied by Fyodor, Mike and Fyodor. Oh, absolutely fabulous.
Thank you, Tom.
Fantastic. My goodness. That's amazing, amazing. What a privilege that is. What a privilege. Wonderful. Well, it's time to hear from America. We're going to hear now from Professor Harden, cousin Ian. Ian has been to Russia on more than one occasion, but he's been, last time he was there with Carol, his wife. Ian, I believe, is one of the founder members of the Athens Burns Club, which was a great delight to hear that that had happened some years ago. Ian is a distinguished scientist. He's a sportsman. He's my pal. He is a truly Christian gentleman, and I think I can say that without offending anybody. An all-round super guy. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to warn you that if you haven't spotted him already on full screen, you'll notice that he looks more like a hillbilly, but I assure you, it really is Ian. Ian Harden, please.
This is Ian Harden speaking to you from Athens, Georgia in the United States. I was born in Glasgow, Scotland in 1944 of a Scottish mother and an American soldier, but you can tell from my accent that I was raised in Alabama. We're sending greetings to the Health Club in Dumfries with my good friends Betty and Gordon Johnston, to the St. Petersburg Forum headed by Dr. Tom Clark, my honorary brother, and to the St. Petersburg, Russia Burns Club, far across the ocean from here. In sending this greetings, I want to dedicate the greetings to my cousin, my wonderful cousin, Elizabeth Clark, who passed away several weeks ago. I know we all miss her and we grieve for her. So in sending greetings to the Health Club, to the St. Petersburg Forum, to the St. Petersburg, Russia Burns Club, I lift my glass and I say Slanjavar, and then I also say Savasha Zdarovye. I know that's terrible Russian, and I hope you will forgive me for that. But I hope you have a wonderful Burns dinner.
Thank you, Ian. A beautiful toast. Thank you.
Our dearest far friends from United States, from Athens Burns Club, Mr. Jan Hardin and all members. You are so far from us, but you are so close by heart. That's why I would like to recite a few lines again from our lovely Burns about that friends that are so far from us. Here's a health to them that's our, their health to them that's our, and our winner wish good luck to our course, may never guide luck be far. It's got to be merry and wise, it got to be honest and true, it got to support Caledonia's course and buy buff and the blue. For all our friends who are so far from us and for the friendship. Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you, Svetlana. Thank you.
Now we move back to some fiddle music this time. Rose, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, it'll be really hard to follow up from all the music we've heard so far. That was just phenomenal. So, but I'm going to play 3 Burns songs, which are Cathy Owes, A Man's a Man, and Rattlin' Roaring Willie. So I hope you enjoy.
Rose, could you not have played for about 5 minutes longer? The chief, Douglas, where the hell are you?
I'm back.
I jolly well think so.
What
Right. Oh, no, just about 10 minutes of useless banter. Right. Moving on. We now have a recitation, which is going to be of John Barleycorn. I'm not sure if half of it's going to be in Russian and half English, but we'll find out very quickly. It's going to be performed by Max Mielnikov, who's a longtime friend, and like Natasha, Max was a winner of our competitions so long ago that he's now in his 30s. So we have our winners going back a long, long way. Max has an astonishing ability. He learned the Tam O'Shanter in 2 evenings in Russian, an ability that I think some of us would envy to some extent, given the time it takes for us to learn some of these pieces. Tam O'Shanter in 2 evenings, that's not bad going. Gordon and Max, please, may we hear John Barleycorn.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is I'm going to do a verse in Scots, followed by Max is going to do a verse in Russian, and that is going to alternate right through until the end of the poem. Not too long. I will start with John Barleycorn by Robert Burns. There were 3 kings into the east, 3 kings both great and high, and they his solemn a solemn oath, John Barleycorn should die.
Велели выкопать с охой могилу короли, чтоб славный Джон, боец лихой, не вышел из земли.
But the cheerful spring came kindly on, and showers began to fall. John Barleycorn got up again, and sore surprised them all.
Все так же буен и упрям с пригорка в летний зной, грозит он копьями врагам, качая головой.
The sober autumn entered mild, and he grew wan and pale. His bending joints, his drooping head, showed he began to fail.
Настало время помирать. Зима недалека, и тут-то недруги опять взялись за старика.
They took a weapon long and sharp and cut him by the knee. They tied him fast upon a cart, like a rogue for forgery.
Дубасить Джона принялись злодеи поутру, потом, подбрасывая ввысь, кружили на ветру.
They filled up a darksome pit with water to the brim. They heaved in John Barleycorn. There, let him sink or swim.
Не пощадив его костей, швырнули их в костер, а сердце мельник меж камней безжалостно растер.
They wasted over a scorching flame the marrow of his bones, but a miller worst of all, for he crushed him between 2 stones.
Недаром был покойный Джон при жизни молодец, отвагу подымает он со дна людских сердец.
John Barleycorn was a hero bold, of noble enterprise, but if you do but taste his blood, 'twill make your courage rise.
Так пусть же до конца времен не высыхает дно в бочонке, где клокочет Джон, ячменное зерно.
Then let us toast John Barleycorn, each man a glass in hand, and may his great prosperity ne'er fail in all Scotland. John Barleycorn.
John Barleycorn. Ah, well done. Superbly done. Superbly done. We move on to the toast to remember the siege. The date of the lifting of the date which is recognized as the date when the siege of Leningrad was lifted coincides more or less with the birth date of Robert Burns. So when we celebrate the birth of Robert Burns when we're in St. Petersburg, the celebration or the memorializing of the lifting of the siege is something we do take very seriously. And I would like to invite Kay Blair, who has done this before for us at our big supper in St. Petersburg. I would ask her, please, if she would care to do this again for us. Kay, please, if you would.
Dobry wieczór. Hello, are you there?
Yep. Dobry wieczór.
Dobry wieczór, St. Petersburg. Dear friends in Russia, friends across in America, and friends in Scotland from Skye right down to Dumfries, good evening. 8th September 1941 to 27th January 1944. 2 years, 4 months, 2 weeks, and 5 days. 5 million lives, 2 million lives lost. 800,000 civilians, 40% of the Leningrad population. A prolonged military blockade, a notorious brutal siege, relentless in the devastation of a people never to be forgotten. A triumphant battle of heroic human resistance and collective solidarity. A population striving against the horrors of time, struggling to survive without heat, food, water, or fuel. Survival on 300 calories per day, bread stretched by mixing in bran and cellulose, furniture and books burned for fuel, malnutrition and disease, only skeletons, not people, unable to recognize even themselves in the mirror. Starving children labelled the old ones. Temperatures as low as 40 degrees Fahrenheit, all land communication cut off. Military Road 101 across Lake Ladoga, the street of life, bringing what hope and escape there was. Struggling with an internal battle for survival while staving off the external battle of defeat. History focuses on the strategies of battle. Today we focus on the unrelenting determination for survival by the proud Leningradians battling unimaginable odds. A city encircled, barricaded, suffering a daily barrage of artillery attacks. 872 days of torment, physically and psychologically. 90% of deaths caused from starvation. And yet the proud, stoic citizens of Leningrad persevered. To quote from last year's toast, death knew no limitations, governed neither by age, gender, or creed. Proudly but reverently and indelibly imprinted in the history of St. Petersburg through annual commemorations in your city and schools. Never to be forgotten in the serenity of the tombstones at Piskarovsky Memorial Cemetery, the impressive monument to the defenders of the city, and the underground Memorial Hall. One student writes in her entry to the Robert Burns Federation essay competition, "When Scotland forgets Robert Burns, the world will forget Scotland." I say, when St. Petersburg forgets the 900-day siege of Leningrad, the world will forget St. Petersburg. Though never taken, the city suffered unprecedented destruction and loss of life in war times. Snowdrifts, snow, the frigid wind, square ice forms in the depths of glacis. Today, the third of them died quietly, that family of shriveled idols. Tomorrow morn, to building steps will crawl the foot of soundless death. Olga Beckholz wrote, "We cannot recount their noble names. Here, so many rest under the eternal protection of this granite. But you who fix your attention on these stones know this: nobody, nothing has been forgotten." Her words engraved on a cement wall in the Piskarovsky Memorial Cemetery, the resting place built to hold 470,000 victims of the siege of Leningrad. Ladies and gentlemen, In the words of our bard, we pray that one day, man to man, the world o'er, all brothers be for Thorat. Raise a glass and join me in the toast to the memory of the defenders of the city. Nothing is forgotten. No one is forgotten. Gestiba.
If you think of the bagpipes, you think of Scotland. When I hear the balalaika, I can only think of Russia. I think Mike and Fyodor have another contribution to make to us, for us. So I offer them the floor again. Please. Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you, Tom.
Well, no, thank you so much. That was super.
It was a pleasure and honor way for you, right?
Thank
you. Sorry for my horrible English.
Oh no, your English is amazing. You should hear my Russian. Wonderful, thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are starting to get quite close to the end of our morning, afternoon, evening together. But you know, as we get near it, probably is a good time to try and remember that friendship, and probably a thought about the joy of simple things. We need to remind ourselves of these as we sprackle our way through this COVID disaster. So let's look forward to better days ahead. And Gordon, I would invite you to say a few words on that particular subject, friendship and looking ahead.
I'm here, right. First of all, there'll be a lot of tribute paid to Elizabeth tonight, and obviously I'm going to say a few words, but not a lot, as far as most of it's been said. But in the word of the bard, sort of moved around a little bit. If there is another world, she rides her bike in bliss. If there is none, she made the best of this. Here's a bottle and an honest friend. What could you wish for mere, man? What end before his life may end, for his share may be a care, man. Then catch the moments as they fly, and use them as you ought, man. Believe me, happiness is shy, and comes no eye when sought, man. Before I get muted, could I just take this opportunity to thank Douglas and Neil for their help in putting this together, and special Douglas to ask Douglas, because Douglas is going to do the vote of thanks, and nobody's going to thank himself. I know that for a fact. So Douglas, thank you for cheering the evening, helping out throughout the evening. Thank you.
I have to say to you, Gordon, given the cost of Douglas's education, I would say that little thanks is necessary, but if you insist. Gordon, thank you. It hasn't been an easy year, yet out of hardship there has been progress. I doubt that the world has ever been better connected than we are. Just look at that screen in front of you to realize, and where there is that sort of connection, only good can come of it in the long term. So human spirit will prevail. Of that, there is no doubt. Our world can be a better place with brotherhood throughout. This needs us all to take the lead and follow those who do, with kindness, love, and honesty, a gospel good and true. My own work this evening as your host is really now complete. I think we've had a true Burns experience, full of friendship and fun, sadly with some pathos too. It remains only for me now to pass the baton to our forum president, Douglas Clark, for his closing remarks. Douglas, your remarks, please.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Before I start speaking, I need to apologise slightly to say that I'm going to read most of what I have to say, simply because, obviously, you understand there's been a lot of emotion attached to this evening, both good and perhaps not so good. So please forgive me. President Svetlana, Chairman Tom, invited guests, performers, friends, from Bonnie, Scotland to Russia and onwards to the USA. Thank you all for making this such a special event for us all. I would wish to personally thank each and every one of the performers, but our chairman for the evening has already done so. However, on a particularly personal level, the reply to the lassies, what can I say? This was possibly my favourite part of the entire evening, given that Diana Mackey gave us a beautiful rendition of John Anderson, My Joe, the very poem that I recited for my mum at her funeral only 5 weeks ago. For Diana to then be followed up by Mum's confidant in a foreign land, Margarita Mudrak, made it close to perfect for me. Thank you both. Ian Harden, my friend and my family. A wonderful toast from across the water and a wonderful show of love and respect for his cousin Elizabeth. I'm sure you would all agree. Much love, Ian. And a special thanks to Gordon Johnson, the powerhouse behind this evening's event coming together. Without your vision and enthusiasm, none of this would have happened. Trust me when I say, Gordon, there is a lot of love for you in the virtual space right now. Congratulations. So, yes, I am indeed the new president of the St. Petersburg Forum, a job that I and my wife Gemma, who is here this evening, had talked a number of times with my predecessor about, and one that I definitely saw as being a part of my future if given the opportunity. I have ended up in the role 10 or 20 years earlier than I had hoped, but I can assure all of our Russian friends that the work spearheaded by our Elizabeth will go on. Our love for your city remains undiminished, and I look forward to visiting again as soon as it is safe to do so. I must thank the trustees for their invaluable support and friendship these last horrible few months. And of course, the biggest support of all, to me personally, a fellow visitor to the great city of St. Petersburg, my dear wife, Gemma. Now, before I hand over to Rose to lead us in Auld Lang Syne, let me speak now to all of my fellow teachers out there. Most sincerely, I love you all for setting such a committed example to the rest of our profession. Gemma and I are both teachers, as you may know, and we are both looking forward to building upon and extending the links that schools in your city have with the Forum, and yes, as time moves on, better links with schools across Scotland too. To any of you that have any exciting, crazy, or even outlandish ideas that we could at least consider supporting you with, please get in touch with me directly. I am ready to listen, and I'm excited for what the future holds. Now, if you just bear with me for one small second. Okay, so finally, to the reason that we are all here at all as friends, I cannot possibly express to you the sadness my dad continues to feel, along with myself and my two older brothers, David and Graham, towards the loss of Mum, Elizabeth. Without her, none of this would be happening right now. There would be no St. Petersburg Forum. There would be no St. Petersburg Burns Club. There would be no friendships that now extend between generations and countries. Without her and Margarita spearheading the annual Days of Scotland, it would not even be close to the huge success that it has been and continues to be this year, even in our absence. My dad, my brothers and I are simply lost without her. And yet, St. Petersburg and her people will contribute to help us finding our way again. For that, we love you even more than we did before. Now, before I hand over to Rose, I want to just give you a very short, Gordon has given you a brief version of it, and I'm going to give you another very slightly altered version of Burns' epitaph on my own friend. An honest lass, here lies at rest, as e'er God with his image blessed, the friend of man, the friend of truth, the friend of age, and guide of youth. Few hearts like hers, with virtue warmed, few heads with knowledge so informed. If there's another world, she lives in bliss. If there is none, she made the best of this. Everybody, please fill your glasses and allow me to make a toast to the most wonderful mother a boy could have hoped for, to Elizabeth. And now, Rose, please cheer us all up, and please take the floor and lead us in Auld Lang Syne. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to dedicate this song to Elizabeth. She was such a lovely, lovely lady, and she was so supportive of me as well. So thank you. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup kindness yet for old lang syne. And here's a hand, my trusty fair, and gaze a hand on that. I will take a right good willy walk for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne. Kindness yet for old lang syne.
Woo! Good night. God bless everybody.
Wonderful, wonderful. Congratulations.
I would normally say thank you to everyone in safe home, but considering we are probably already, if not close by, just I will say thank you and have a good day, have a good evening. And
We
will.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was so nice to see you all. Be
Thank
healthy.
you.
Be healthy.
Thank you.
Let's go back.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
you.
For everything. Good night.
Nighty night.
Good
night. Thank you.
Paka. Paka.
Thank you very much to everybody. It's
Good
wonderful.
night.
Wonderful to see everyone. Wonderful.
Good night,
Night,
Jane.
Jane.
God bless.
Good night.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone. God bless.
And I can also confirm to everybody that Scotland are currently beating England in the rugby, more important.
Thank you, Ian.
Douglas.
Oh, it's 11-6 to Scotland at the moment.
Oh, flower of Scotland.
20 minutes to go. 20.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Lovely to see everybody.
That's so nice. Nicole. We see everybody.
Oh,
Oh, how lovely.
Just to say, well done, Gordon. You did a great job, son. Well done.
There you go.
Marguerite.
Hi, everyone.
Да все уже. Вы уже выключили звук.
Можно
Так встают животные на голову не
Barbara sends her love to
Douglas,
you.
it was perfect.
Yes, thank you, Douglas. Thank you, Tom.
Видно, видно.
Oh, thank you. Oh, look who's here.
Oh,
Lovely to see you.
so lovely. So
Now,
lovely.
now it's time to go outstairs and to chat to the cafe after the evening, after the.
I know. Anyway,
Oh.
thank you for your
Very good. Jane, well done. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Really.
It was slightly melancholy, but I suppose.
Oh, it needed to be done. It needed to be done.
Happy Easter.
Hello, everyone. Lovely people.
Oh,
I think
so lovely, so emotional.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh, good night. God
Good night.
bless.
God bless.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
going to close the meeting now, so goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you very much for this wonderful, absolutely wonderful evening.
No, thank you.
See you soon. See you soon.
It was wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank
See you soon.
Thank
Tom,
you.
And,
Mr.
Elizabeth would have been so proud. Elizabeth would be watching. She'd be so proud of you all.
And everyone, just before I do close the meeting, I know a number of you, if you're still here, have been asking about how to contribute, make a donation to the forum. We are in the middle of setting up a Just Giving page, which has, for one reason and another, proved to be rather problematic, but it will happen soon. And I will be sure to let as many of you possible know where to send your hard-earned money in our direction. But look, keep in touch, everyone, and nice to meet some of you for the first time. Cheerio. Night, night.